Hey, it's Dennis Gray, and it is show number 69 of the Australian Rock Show. Thank you once again for taking the time to listen in. However you listen in, really do appreciate it. You know, as a long-time Kiss disciple, guitarist Bruce Kulick first came onto my radar around 1984 when he replaced Mark St. John on a permanent basis. For the next 12 years, I followed Kulick's career with Kiss, buying all the albums on the way. From his recording debut on the Asylum record, all the way up to the Carnival of Souls and MTV Unplugged albums, Bruce Kulick was, in our Kiss household, a household name. However, there is much more to Bruce Kulick's musical journey than his time with Kiss. Bruce is about to tour Australia in May, and we'll go through those dates at the end of this show. But it was my great pleasure to get Bruce on the line a couple of days ago and talk over many of his achievements, not just with Kiss, but indeed his lifetime of playing loud rock and roll. If you're a long-time Kiss fan, I hope you'll get something out of this interview. I think the questions are interesting, and it was my aim to avoid chatting about the usual Kiss stories, which many of us know so well. Anyway, we'll get to the interview with Bruce Kulick in a bit, straight after a song to get you all warmed up, from his 2001 album Audio Dog, and a song which harks back to his Kiss years. Here is the blazing instrumental, Pair of Dice. Bruce Kulick, it's Dennis Gray. Welcome to the Australian Rock Show.
Yes, hi Dennis.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
And I should add, welcome back to Australia very soon. I have lost count of how many times you've toured here, but it's safe to say that Australia is somewhat of a second home, is it not?
You know, I have a lot of great fans there and some really good friends there, and I will add that I do really enjoy it. So I guess you could call it my second home.
Fantastic. So what are your memories of your very first tour down under? Am I correct? It was playing with Meatloaf back in June of 1978?
That would be the first time I went there, and I'm still friends with a woman that I met that was working at the radio station then, which is so funny, you know. I kind of got some dirt from her on what was going on behind the scenes of the Meatloaf manager and record company, you know. But that tour was very successful for Meatloaf, of course, but what was very funny about it was, of course, the instant headline when Meatloaf wound up passing out on stage, and it was "Fat Out of Hell," okay? Which, you know, we enjoyed it because we know any kind of press is good press, but it was pretty damn funny to see.
Of course, that was on the Bat Out of Hell album tour, so I imagine that would have been your biggest touring experience to that time, correct?
Correct, but it really did help me by the time it was time, you know, like ready to do. Well, I did other arena shows like with Michael Bolton, but really, you know, joining Kiss would be, I was already kind of like familiar with what that would feel like, of course, from becoming in the Meatloaf band so successful around the world, really, you know, so. It was pretty remarkable when you think about it.
Well, that era of Meatloaf's band used to do a great take of Johnny Be Good, by the way, but I don't want to get down that path. Any recollections of a local opening act called the Angels who did the Sydney supports back in 1978?
Oh, dear. Not really. I don't want to make up something.
That's okay.
Why, they're yours, or they're just still legendary there?
Well, I think it's safe to say that many Kiss fans also have an affection for your late 70s outfit, Blackjack. And we're going to end this interview later with the great tune, Love Me Tonight. Blackjack,
oh, great.
Blackjack had all the ingredients to hit the upper levels. Was the timing not quite right? Because the songs were definitely there.
Well, we didn't get the traction on a song that we would have needed. The label, Polydor at the time, actually, really made a big commitment with us. And it was based around Michael Bolton, you know, of course. And I was happy that he chose me to be his kind of like, you know, certainly his lead guitar, not only his lead guitarist, but I was the next to help him write songs and things like that. I have to admit that first album with Tom Dowd, he wasn't always very comfortable, and it was a lot for us to handle at the time. And I'm actually really surprised you're not the first person to mention Blackjack with me doing some press for my upcoming trip. So obviously we did make some sort of an impact, but you know, we were young and hungry, and we did the best we could, but I can't give you a definite reason why it didn't really happen, but we were one of those infamous hard rock melodic bands that should have and didn't, you know.
Well, good music always finds its audience, and I guess people are still discovering those tunes, which is fantastic. But
Yes.
we kicked off this interview with your instrumental song "Pair of Dice." That was a leftover from your time in Kiss, correct? What time period?
Yeah, so I probably had that laying around in the late 80s, where I had some, kind of like what I felt was, all right, these chords and this kind of a, motion on the rhythm of them could be something maybe Gene would like, maybe Paul would like. And I saved everything. I still have everything. It's incredible what I've saved. Fortunately, and I've digitized much of it. I still have much more to do. But honestly, when it came time, when I realized, I went into union with John Corabi after Kiss, and then when we did our music, which I was quite proud of, I realized, I'd really like to do a solo record. And I started Audio Dog, the first solo record, with jumping into my closet, if you get what I mean, with finding those tapes and going like, I never finished this. This is good. And that's where I got a lot of the material for that record.
Obviously, there's not enough time today to delve into your 12-year career with Kiss, and a lot of it's been covered anyway. But you, of course, toured Australia with Kiss in early 1995. I went to a few of those shows and the Q&A thing. You must have had an inkling, it was on the cards for some time, that a reunion was eventually going to happen, because looking back, the next 18 months which followed would see Kiss hit the big time once again.
Yes, I mean, you got to remember that that 95 tour of Australia was really exciting for me, because as much as I went, I mean, you were aware I went with Meatloaf. I think for Kiss, there was a really long gap when they didn't go, to Australia.
15 years.
So, yeah, 15 years, which is a very long time, sure. And the reaction, and of course learning Shandy for the first time, was pretty cool. But we also, you should know that our first official Kiss conventions were actually experimented with in Australia. Okay, and we were supposed to take it to Japan, and that didn't happen. The people over there didn't want to make that a reality very easily, so it didn't happen. And then, of course, later on, it was revisited during the summer, and we did the convention tour. So I'll always remember that the first litmus test for a Kiss convention held by Kiss was actually done in Australia on that tour. But I'll never forget, some of those venues and the people that I met, and I didn't really think that it would be that short of time until so much changed in the in the world of Kiss, where Unplugged forced the reunion tour, gave them that opportunity. And then the next thing I know, actually at some point at 96, I was there back in Australia with Eric Singer doing like a clinic tour through a drum company, ironically enough. But I really do feel that Australia made a special bond with me, and it's always had a special bond with Kiss, there's no doubt.
From the viewpoint of being a musician, what was the most important thing you learned from Gene and Paul?
Well, certainly, first of all, they're a lot more musical than people give them credit for. Okay, and so is Kiss material, to be quite honest. I've done a few of the rock and roll fantasy camps where Paul or Gene is the guest, and Kiss songs are covered, and I work just as hard on those as many of the other groups that are involved in a Who camp or Cream camp and things like that. But I have to say that, for me, what I took away was the whole package kind of thing. The music was always there, and Gene and Paul kind of downplay the musicianship of Kiss. It's always been about the show. But I know why they push that, because they have that down, and to a very, very, very large degree. From being performers to knowing how to present the band to how to run a set and how to get the crowd crazy, and I think all the live performances from my era prove that too. Without the makeup and all of that, we still put on extremely competitive, exciting shows. And of course, they continue to do that because that is something that they feel they're built to do. You know what I mean? It's just in their it's in their genes genetically to put on a big event every time they perform.
What do you think it is about Kiss and the fan devotion which they have? Can you pinpoint what it is exactly which gains that lifetime of loyalty?
Well, if I did, then I could pass that on to another band, or I could have my own band with that.
Sure.
Well, look, it's a great question, and truly, when a band, as to coin a phrase, they strike a chord with their fans, it always is really hard to explain. I mean, can we truly understand the Grateful Dead's loyal following, even with many of their important people being gone? Beatles I get, because I'm one of them, okay? But I guess in some ways Kiss does represent a certain freedom of who you are, and celebrating the joy of rock and roll, and living life to its fullest. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be about. It's never been a extremely depressing band or sad band or frustrated band. It's always been about more like empowerment and taking life and living it to the fullest. Paul does a solo record, "Live to Win." You know what I mean? It's in These Are Crazy, Crazy Nights. And even if it's a Tears Are Falling kind of title, it's about a romance thing. It's a love thing. But mostly their songs are empowering, and I think people they kind of join a club that they're not. Maybe everybody wants to be in it, but once you're in it, you're a lifetime member.
What do you think Eric Carr would be doing today if he was still alive?
Well, with them doing the reunion tour, what's really interesting, because there's no doubt he was a tremendous asset to Kiss, and there was no reason for him not to be in Kiss unless something horrible happened, which did happen. Meaning nothing more horrible can happen than you pass away. You get sick and you die. I mean, it was horrible. But let's say, though, he carried on. There was no Eric Singer, but the reunion tour happened. I always scratch my head and go like, okay, all right, so Peter reunion tour, okay. And then, as you know, it didn't take too long for certain problems to arise. And then Peter was gone, and they asked Eric Singer to do that in cat makeup. Would they have asked Eric Carr to be, the Fox again? It's an interesting question that we'll never have an answer to. And even if you probably asked Gene and Paul, you don't know how you'd answer that unless it was actually going down, So, but I know that Eric, he was taken from us way too young, and I'm sure he would have, like me, been continued playing even if he wasn't actually in Kiss.
What do you think will be the next move for Kiss 5 years from now?
I recently listened to an interview by Gene, and Gene's the guy that throws a million ideas against the wall, and it's okay when only two of them stick. It doesn't matter. He's always thinking, okay, and he's always branding, and he's always seeing a very big picture for the possibilities of something that he was a part of creating that is very hard to really know the future of, except for what's in those guys' creative minds. Could they really do a Broadway thing? Could they do a casino? Could they carry on without those guys and still have a touring Kiss? Okay, I don't know. I just don't really know the answer to that. But every day is exciting in the world of Kiss, and every day my life is touched by something to do with Kiss. It's pretty remarkable. All these years on, over 20 years from me not being in the band. But I don't look at that as a burden. I look at it as it's a great it was a great tenure that I had in the band, and because of that I'm always part of the Kiss family. So I love posting things. Most weekdays I'm posting stuff about Kiss, even if it's not completely related to me, So but what the future will hold, it's anyone's guess.
Can you name maybe one or two of your favorite Kiss songs to play live?
Wow. Well, certainly the anthem from my era is always really exciting, and it's not an easy song to play. God Gave Rock and Roll to You. Okay. I love that we used to do that one live, because it really is an anthem, and of course Rock and Roll All Night is the most known Kiss anthem. So that always meant a lot for me to play it. And, to pick another song, it's really hard. But I remember one thing that really got me in the forefront of a live guitarist for them was to go into that No, No, No solo, and then go in, the drums would get going, and then we'd go into the tune, That was pretty exciting. We only did it for a few tours, but I remember that meant a lot to me.
A couple of random questions. If you could choose anyone, which artist would you like to work with? Obviously Paul McCartney, maybe?
Yeah, I've said that one. How'd you read my mind? Wow, wow, wow. That's interesting. You know, another guy I thought about it. I'd love to be like Lenny Kravitz's guitar player. You know, that would be a blast. Okay. You know, I used to fantasize of having a band with Jack Bruce. Of course, he's passed away now. But, you know, some of my heroes, you know, God, I'd love to be one of the extra guys for The Who. You know, that would be fine with me. I love classic rock, so those things really kind of turn me on, of course. Play for Ringo, that would be fun.
If McCartney ever gets Wings back together again, hopefully he can. You can fill Denny Lane's shoes. How's that?
Yep, there you go.
Bruce,
you know, the guys that he has, by the way, all these years in his band are a couple of LA guys. You know, the two guitar players. You know. I believe it's my name. Today is a busy day, so my brain is. But you know what I mean.
Yeah,
you know, the two guys that he tours with, they're incredible.
He's had them for a while, hasn't he?
You know, Brian and what's the other guy's name? He's an incredible guitar player too. So those guys are well gifted and got the voices of angels to back up Paul McCartney. You know, so that's important.
Bruce, before you go, every guest gets to choose a song by an Australian band. What would you like to choose and why?
I got one. All right, the band's The Sharp, and the song is Scratch My Back.
Why did you choose that one?
I love that band. And I when I first heard it, I couldn't get them out of my head, and I downloaded the music, and I have a playlist of The Sharp because my iTunes doesn't even know who the heck they are. And that Scratch My Back is just such a trip, man. I mean, really, it's a great one.
Thank you for your time today. I really do appreciate you coming on the show.
Well, I'll see you out on the tour. Thank you so much.
See you, mate.
All right, take care. All right, bye-bye.
For Bruce Kulick, that was long-lost Aussie three-piece The Sharp with their 1993 tune Scratch My Back. Saw them live a couple of times in the early 90s and they were okay. I think they managed to have a bit of mainstream success as well from memory. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that interview with Bruce Kulick. If you want to go see Bruce Kulick on his Thunder Down Under Australian tour with special guests 4x and Sisters Doll, here are the dates. Are you ready? Tuesday the 16th of May at the Basement in Canberra, Wednesday the 17th of May at the Bridge Hotel in Sydney, Thursday the 18th of May at the Small Ballroom in Newcastle, Friday the 19th of May at Max Watts in Brisbane, the next night Saturday the 20th of May at the Bridgeway Hotel in Puraka in South Australia, Sunday the 21st of May at the Burlington Hotel in Bunbury, before finishing up the tour in Perth at the Rosemount Hotel in North Perth, on Monday the 22nd of May. Wow, they are covering some miles on these dates with no days off in between either. So if they can make the effort to include a live venue near where you live, be sure to vote with your feet and get along to one of these shows. Shoutitoutloudevents.ticketbud.com is the place you should visit online to purchase tickets. And of course, head to kulick.net if you wish to learn more about Bruce Kulick and his amazing rock and roll journey. Okay, folks, let's get out of here. AustralianRockShow@gmail.com, that is how you can reach us. But if you are digging the show and are a long-time Australian Rock Show listener, why not call in and leave us a message on the comment line, 047 845 0747. The comment line is a 24/7 setup, so any time of the day, feel free to call in and you can hear yourself on an upcoming show. Again, the comment line is 047 845 0747. And if you're listening in from outside of Australia, the number is +61 47 845 0747. Don't be shy, go for it, and let's keep on building the Australian Rock Show community. You can also find us on Facebook, like us, share us, you know the drill. AustralianRockShow.com is our online home. All the past episodes are there for you to download or stream FREE. How cool is that? We are also on Twitter, at Oz Rock Show, AUS Rock Show. There's also a guest book, which we've set up for you to use as well. Folks, many ways to contact us. If you want to hear us, you can subscribe via iTunes. You can hear us on Stitcher, TuneIn, and also Mixcloud. AustralianRockShow.com is probably the best place to learn more about us, and indeed, Australia's loudest and proudest rock and roll podcast. Oh, and if you are listening in via iTunes, we could definitely use more iTunes reviews. It will only take a couple of minutes. We will read out your review on an upcoming show. It improves our ranking and helps others to find us, so go for it. Thank you once again for listening, folks. We will see you on the next show, which will not be too far away. Lifted from their self-titled debut album from 1979, featuring Bruce Kulick on guitar and also the distinctive vocals of Michael Bolton. Let's close out with Blackjack with Love Me Tonight. This is Dennis, out.